What's up, guys? This is Terrence Lewis with LewisHelps. Mr. Flippin' Ain't Easy. Got my son here. We're going through one of our projects here in the Linden area in Columbus, Ohio. If you're new to this channel, Terrence Lewis with LewisHelps. We buy, fix, and flip properties, and we also help people learn more about fixing them up to rent properties. So fixing and flipping properties, or learn about real estate investing is what you're after. This is the channel for you, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright guys, but again, this video, we're going to break down the pros and cons of, actually not even the pros and cons, we're just going to teach you guys about Lath Plaster and Drywall. I got my son here, he's in town, he's showing him the ropes and how this is done. This is Tyrion. Alright, shout out to my youngest too, my biggest fans, Tyler and Tyler. So yeah guys, if you want more information like this, the other place to get daily walkthroughs, if you go over to my Instagram right now, we're showing this live, and we're also doing in the reels and in the feed tips on a daily basis. So if you want more tips, make sure you check out the IG channel and go over there and be a follower for more information. It's all free game. It's LewisHelps. All right guys, so what I want to do is show you in this video and show my son in this video how we tackle Lath Plaster and Drywall issues in our projects, right? So if you notice here, we've got a whole wall. This is a duplex, so we can actually go from one house to the other by walking through the wall. We've torn this whole wall down so that way we can repair it and do it right. This wall had a lot of bowing, and I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what happened to this wall and why we had to tear it down. And I'm going to share with you guys 3 ways to deal with these issues, from the most expensive way to the least expensive way. So make sure you stick through to the whole video, because I'm going to basically give you guys the game 100%. All right guys, so let's dive right into it. Let's just show you guys exactly what Lath Plaster is. So if this is an older way of doing walls back in the day, we actually, I'm going to talk to my son too, because he needs to know this as well, because he's going to take over one day, right? And so back in the day, this is how the construction was done. This is a good little synopsis of how they did Lath Plaster. What they would do is they would put their vertical walls in, the vertical posts in, and then from there they would put in their plank boards, right? And so they would put all these plank boards in. Now, similar to making pancake mix or whatever it is, or like more of a cement type mortar mix, they would mix up the material that's going to be used to actually make the wall. And then they would use that and they would make a basically like a cement like wall, smooth it out as much as possible. And so that would go in between here and on the surface of here, and then that's how they would get the wall. And what you ended up with was something like this. Something you can end up painting, and something you can end up with a finished product on. Obviously you put your trim on, and there's your wall. Well, nowadays we don't do that. We just have one big sheet of drywall, or some people call it rock wall, and they just put that up there and drill it into the studs here, get rid of the seams, and now you have a wall. Less mess, takes a little time. So, but what happened with this wall is, if you can see here, I'm going to show you guys, this is what this wall looked like times 10. If you look, this wall is bowing out, and if you feel it, you see it's giving and it's a little loose. So what's happening is this material inside is starting to deteriorate in the walls. So it's no longer holding up, its integrity is gone. And so it's actually falling apart in the wall. So I'm going to show you guys 3 ways to deal with an issue like this. Issue number 1, if you look in, it can get pretty intense. If you look in this hallway, if you look down the hallway, that's a pretty intense version of it, right? It didn't help that they tried to put a texture on it, just made it look worse. So instead of actually dealing with it, they actually just took these panels, put them up all over the wall, and covered it up. And now as you see over time, even the paneling is deteriorating. So now you have 2 problems. You've got a wall that's falling apart behind the panels, and you have an ugly panel that's outdated. So you remove these panels, you're left to deal with the problem. So what we're doing is we're dealing with the whole problem all at once. Removing the panels which are dated, and removing the whole wall, and replacing the whole wall with drywall, in the event that it's a real serious situation. Now let me show you guys another wall. Solution number 1 is take the whole wall down. From start to finish, you have to take it, because one thing you have to know is it's rare that you're going to cut this wall and find drywall that you can use to meet. So if we, instead of cutting down half this wall and then a little part that was only messed up and then trying to just patch it with drywall, they're going to be uneven, because the thicknesses of drywall and the thicknesses of Lath Plaster, they don't meet up, neither too small or too big. So you end up trying to create basically like a ramp, and you just end up with the same issue that you had before, a bunch of mud on the wall. So in this situation, we're going to tear it down, both sides, put up new drywall, just have a nice clean looking wall. Now, in the event of this wall, right here, where we have just a smaller issue, it's not the whole wall, we have this piece here, and we have this piece here. The second solution to doing this instead of tearing the whole wall down is basically cut these pieces out, and you can actually put drywall over this. So you can use a small thin sheet of drywall because the rest of it is still good. There's nothing falling apart. The rest of this is good. So when you have a smaller piece, this is still pretty large. We may take this one out, but let me show you inside here. So in here, this whole wall, you really only have this area right here and right here. So we can remove these areas right here, and we can just take our sheet of drywall and just cover this whole area. Makes sense? Now we end up with a fresh new wall on top. And what you end up doing is creating a thicker layer, so you're getting more soundproof between rooms, and you're also getting insulation in your room. So it actually is okay to put a thin sheet of drywall. You can wrap this whole wall and not. The things you have to consider is it's a lot of demolition to remove these walls because of the amount of debris that this causes with this type of wall. So removing it is always the most expensive way because you have to get rid of the old, you have to pay people to get rid of the old, pay to get rid of the old, and then put it in new versus just going right over top of this. So that's the option number 2. Option number 3 would be to do what's called floating the walls. So this wall right here, you have a hole, all around it is pretty solid. You would treat this just like drywall, put a patch over it, and what you can do is, we call it hot mud or mud, and what they'll do is they'll create this pancake-like material, and they'll just skim coat the whole wall, sand it, and it will look very much like new. You're just gonna patch this, you have a couple areas with some imperfection, a couple areas here, but you can actually just cover this whole wall with like a mud-like material, sand it down, and you're back to normal, man. You got a nice smooth hole. Biggest thing with walls, biggest thing with the finishing of a house is your trim, right? Your caulking, your trim in between things, and the smooth texture of your wall. Those are the things that give your room a really nice, crisp look. So hopefully you guys stick around, take a look at the IG channel. Don't forget to go by there and subscribe. Did you learn something?
Yes.
All right, cool. You learned something, you guys learned something. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and make sure you hit that bell notification so you get notified whenever we do more videos. This is Terrence Lewis from LewisHelps, Flipping Ain't Easy, and Mr. Fix It right here. Hope you guys appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.